You know, this is a show, we never thought it would make it 17 years, but here we are, that talks about fungus. How do you sell fungus causing illness for 17 years? We must be onto something. Fungus makes a poison called a mycotoxin. At the end of the show, I've uncovered some things that are just going to blow your mind, so stay tuned. As we open the show, what causes diabetes? We don't have any idea. Maybe we do. Then in the middle of the show, I'm joined by my good friend Annie Brandt. She wrote this book, The Healing Platform. She was diagnosed many years ago with cancer, was given a short time to live. The book, I wanted to put her on. The book is amazing. And then Kyle and I, Kyle is going to give a little motivational minute for you in today's show. And then chimichangas, if I can say that word, all that and more on Know the Cause. Friends, you know, I worked with a doctor out here. His name is Dr. David Weekly. He was out of Johns Hopkins, graduated from Johns Hopkins, and he became a dermatologist. So as a dermatologist, he moved me from LA to Texas circa 1987, a 5-year contract. The boys were little, we came to Texas, and Ruth and I set up home out here. And we said, well, 5 years, we'll go back to California because we love and miss the ocean in California. And it never happened. David died about 4 years into our relationship. But before he died, his eyes were open so many times. Because we were a skin clinic, people would come in with skin problems. But we soon learned that they were there in a half-hour, little piece of the pie. Then the next half hour, they had to go to the gutologist, and the next half hour to the brainologist, next half hour, the arthritis doctor, and so forth. So they take a day off work and just rotate through all their doctor visits. So there's one woman who came in her 40s, had a bad case of psoriasis, right? It was bleeding and so forth, and we were finally helping her. I asked her to go on the Kaufman diet, my phase 1 component of the Kaufman diet, and we put her on diflucan and nystatin. And sure enough, this psoriasis, I'd say a good 40% of her body began clearing up. But something else began clearing up. And it caught us it caught Dr. Weekly totally off guard. I had seen this over and over in patients in Los Angeles working with other doctors. Her blood sugar, which was like this, maybe 180, began going through the weeks like this. And she came in one time in tears, and she took her sweater off and showed us her arms, and she started crying, and Dr. Weekly said, man, here's another one, Doug. Fungus seems to be the component that's causing this psoriasis. I think most psoriasis is linked to fungus, but dermatologists just don't know that. So I was thrilled for her, but I was equally happy for Dr. Weekly, who was seeing that psoriasis isn't a tar shampoo and Puvabox, deficiency. It isn't a cortisone deficiency. It really had to do with her diet and with other things going on. But as her blood sugar began tumbling, she began crying. Doug, she said, do you think my diabetes, my pancreatic problem, could also be due to fungus? Look, my husband and I are thrilled that this is clearing up, and it's only been 6 weeks. Do you think that inside I could have a fungal condition? About 13, 14 years ago, Dr. Dave Holland and I wrote The Fungus Link to Diabetes. This book is an eye-opener. This book answers the question, what am I taking when I'm taking diabetes drugs? You're taking drugs that also lower blood sugar, but oh, by the way, kill fungus simultaneously. I wish endocrinologists, doctors who study diabetes, knew that. Now there's some new news out the past couple of years. I looked up on the internet what causes type 1 and type 2 diabetes, and Mayo Clinic says the exact cause, of course, of type 1 diabetes isn't known. And Unfold Diabetes, interesting website. While the exact cause of type 2 diabetes isn't known, experts know some of the risk factors. We don't know the cause of anything. And we're generating $3 trillion in this business we call medicine, which, by the by, wants to become a $4 billion business. I'm sorry, a $4 trillion business. And it will. it just so happens if you can keep medical school students away from the cause and just erasing symptoms with cortisone shots and antibiotics and so forth, you never have to answer the difficult question, what's the cause of that disease? So along comes in Nature magazine, Good magazine, August 22nd, 2016, in doses equivalent to those regularly used in human children, antibiotics changed the mix of gut microbes in young mice to dramatically increase the risk of type 1 diabetes. Whoa. Every doctor in the world should know about that. Why? Because we no longer guess if women have vaginal bacterial infections. We just tend to put them on antibiotics during the 3rd trimester of their pregnancy. So all children are exposed in utero to antibiotics, which, by the way, are good pills to kill bacteria, but they also happen to be fungal poisons. Be careful out there, folks. They're now saying even type 2 diabetes has a fungal component to it, meaning it's induced sometimes by antibiotics. We do know the cause of diabetes. There's a medication called antibiotic that seems to induce both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. No wonder this woman did so well, not only with her psoriasis, which she was paying to see us for, but she dropped out, I'm sure, seeing the endocrinologist when her blood sugar levels started to stabilize. We were fixing what antibiotics broke. Don't go away. More to come. Boy, do I have a treat for you guys. A couple of months ago, look, I read for a living. You know, you've seen the seminars I attend and all the studying I do and so forth. Someone very kindly handed me a book called The Healing Platform at a convention in Orlando that I was speaking with. Well, if you're a speaker, you're so important, you know it all. Someone can't hand you a book and teach you anything. Okay, scratch that one off my list. For 3 hours, I went back to the hotel, ate some fruit, went back to the hotel, and read this book. I looked around, I couldn't get the TV to work, well, okay, I'll read this book. Unbelievable. Thank you for making me read this book. The Healing Platform is a book written by a woman who was told 15 years ago, you have 90 days left to live. Primary breast metastasized through the body. What did she do? Folks, that's what the book is all about. Annie Brandt is the author. Thank you for handing me that day. Annie and I have known each other a couple of years. As a matter of fact, she puts on, I think, one of the finest seminars. She calls it a summit in San Diego, California, both to physicians and to the lay public, those of us with cancer or without cancer, those of us who want to learn from various disciplines. It's called theBestAnswerForCancer.org. Right? BestAnswerForCancer.org.
That's correct.
But I want to talk about the book, and I want to talk about your nonprofit organization because your company is unfunded. But it was this book was a gift to the millions of people who are being told you have cancer. And by the way, here's your 2 therapies that you can do. I don't want you doing any of those other therapies. Mm-hmm. Annie stepped outside of the box. Do tell, from 15 years ago to now, what's happened?
Okay, so in 2001, they gave me very few options. They said you have 3 months to live, and they still wanted me to do the double mastectomy, chemo, and radiation. And I decided that if I only had 3 months to live, I wanted to go with as much quality of life and dignity and grace as I could. So I refused the standard of care, and they told me that I would then die faster. And I said, God's the only one who knows when I'm going to go, and everyone else just has an opinion. And that was the thought process I took through this whole exercise. And I basically went through my entire life and healed my entire life from the beginning. And I kind of made a deal with God that if it was all good, because if I died, I was going to Him. Mm-hmm. And if I lived, I would be able to help other people. So when I was cancer clear, and it was 1 year and 8 months, I started a nonprofit called Best Answer for Cancer Foundation.
There's another business that deals with breast cancer that we hear is nonprofit. Boy, oh boy. Folks, please be careful when you give to cancer organizations. That's all I'm going to tell you. Hear and heed what Annie is telling you today, but when all of your money goes back to the women with cancer and the men with cancer and time and books and supplements and so forth, that's a good thing. When 90% of your profits go into nice cars, beautiful buildings, clothing, airplanes, that may not be a good thing for you, okay? So you have a nonprofit. How do you fund the nonprofit? Well, with book sales.
Yeah, the proceeds from this book go directly to the nonprofit, and any donations that we get go to the nonprofit. And that's pretty much it. We are unfunded, so we're all volunteers. This is a loving giving act. We're a loving giving organization. But you know, the more funds you have, the more you can do for patients, the more you can do for cancer.
Why the book? Did one of the patients that you worked with finally say, look, Annie, write it down?
I've spoken to thousands of patients, and actually probably 75% of them said, would you please write it down?
Yeah, and she has written it down. The book is called The Healing Platform. How much is it, Annie?
It's a donation amount of $25,
Yeah.
And you're welcome to send us more, and we'll gladly take it.
Do you see my little dog ears here with everything in the book? Okay, mammograms. Annie says no, exposed to too much electromagnetic fields. God, thank you for talking about a spiritual, your spiritual life. Cancer has a personality. My thought of the book, a transparent overview of Annie's own healing. It's a must read. I did it in 3 hours. You know how we all have bookshelves? Doug's books are on them because I think cancer is a fungus and so forth. Put this book, make a $25 donation to this organization or a $625 donation to this organization and help your friends with cancer. This is the one book that I have read on one person's idea of healing from cancer that talks about gut, liver, skin, everything. Great, great book. You're a great, great guest and a great, great person. Thank you, Annie, for being on.
Thank you for having me.
You know, I just love Kyle Drew. Here he is reflecting upon changes. I thought this was such a good piece. I wanted to show it to you, so here it is.
I got to be the bearer of bad news, and please don't take this as a negative, but I just want you to hear me out. One of the most important concepts in natural health is the concept of prevention. Guys, I don't like to chase after symptoms with supplements or diet or exercise. What I like to do is stay ahead of symptoms with diet, exercise, and supplements. But I have to tell you, in all of my years of doing nutrition counseling and in the decade that I've done Know the Cause, I've talked to thousands of people. And do you know that I have not been able to successfully encourage even one person to prevent disease from happening? 100% of the time, people come to me when they are ready to change after symptoms occur. If I am talking to even one person out there who has no symptoms, who's not overweight, but who just wants to maintain great health and take it to the next level, please hear me out. Now is the time to begin. Please don't wait till you're having to swim upstream and really go hard with the diet and exercise and supplements, because so much of the time when you do that, it's provoked by fear, and fear causes stress, and stress, you just are not able to get well when you're under chronic stress. So for any of you who will hear me, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. Please, please exercise prevention.
Kyle, that was really good. So many Americans take the same pill every day and expect a different result. Okay, so thank you. Now, into the kitchen we go, and we're gonna eat chicken chimichangas. I can't say the word, but I can eat these bad boys. Watch this.
Hey guys, I'm Lindsay. Today we're going to do a baked chicken chimichanga. Now this is a Mexican burrito that's usually deep fried, but we're actually going to make it a lot lighter and healthier by baking it in our oven. So first we have a bowl of shredded chicken. This is free-range chicken. We're going to add some yummy seasonings like cumin and oregano. We're gonna add in some salsa. This is about 3/4 cup. You can use spicy or mild, it's up to you. Whatever your preference is. We have green onions, that's 2 green onions sliced up. And then we're going to add some goat cheese to this. If you wanted to do phase 1, if you're strictly phase 1, then just leave the goat cheese out. Or if you're phase 2, you can add in the goat cheese. The goat cheese is going to melt and kind of make it creamy and gooey on the inside after it's baked. We're just going to toss all of this together. It's really simple, and there really is so many options for the filling that you can do with this chimichanga. You can use whatever type of cheese. That's, of course, phase 2 or phase 1 approved, vegetables, different meats. The options are endless. Okay, everything's nice and combined. Next, we're going to bring our pan over and grab a guiltless tortilla. These are seed tortillas. They're phase 1 approved. There's no yeast in these. And as you can tell, they rolled and fold really easily. So you don't actually have to soften them up in the saute pan before you use them. They're ready to go and they're not going to break on you. So we're just going to take a couple teaspoons of the filling and put it right in the center of the tortilla. Now you don't want to do too much or it won't fold and stay together. Take just a tiny bit out. All right. Now just go one side, then the opposite, then the end, and just roll it over like a burrito. Make sure I've got room there. Perfect. I'm just going to show you how to do 2, but this should make for about 6, if not more. Of course, chicken is a great source of protein. We always love when it's free range. And all these veggies are, of course, phase 1 approved. Okay, our sides in. Now roll up the bottom and flip it over. Okay, there you go. Now we're going to brush it with butter. The butter is going to help make it nice and crispy. It's going to give it that crunchy exterior when it breaks or when it bakes. Get all sides. And I'm even going to flip it over and do the bottom. Make sure it gets crispy all the way around. Now these tortillas are a great source of good fat. So is this butter. This is a grass-fed butter that we've just melted down. Get the bottom side, and you'll see that we're putting the seam side down of these tortillas on the baking sheet. Okay. Let's pop these in the oven at 400 degrees for about 25 minutes. Our chimichangas are done baking in the oven. They were at 400 degrees for about 22 to 25 minutes. Just make sure to keep an eye on them and you can gauge when they're done. The crust, the tortilla itself will get nice and crispy, will get crunchy on the outside. Now we're going to cut into the middle of it. You can hear how crispy that tortilla is. It gets nice and golden brown on the outside. It's still steaming. You can see the chicken and the salsa and all of those yum warm ingredients. The goat cheese is all melted down. Now we're just gonna garnish it with some fresh tomato, kind of liven up our plate a little bit, give it some color and texture. The tomatoes will add a little sweetness and a fresh bite. Same thing with the shredded spinach we have here. Just adds a little color and makes it vibrant, like a little fiesta on your plate. And then if you'd like to, here's some Greek yogurt. You could dip it in or spoon on a little bite, and some salsa. Again, use whatever you like, whether it's mild or spicy. These are great for a family dinner or serving to guests. It's really fun and just something different, and it's a healthy burrito. Thanks so much for joining us. This recipe will be on the website. Go to knowthecause.com for more phase 1 recipes.
You know, I realize many of you are brand new at Know the Cause. Welcome aboard. Thank you for joining us. Fungus definitely makes poisons. These poisons are called pathogens, right? Guess how toxic they can be. First, a little review. Some fungi make poisons. At least 33 mycotoxins are known mutagens. They mutate our DNA. And folks, what is the cause of autoimmune diseases? Mutated DNA. Exposure ill effects range from annoying to life-threatening, and look at Oncology News published this. These are capable of causing disease and death in humans. Wow, just that's a huge breath. I'm the only guy that owns this next slide. I've given it at my cancer conferences where I teach doctors, but look at this slide. Fungal mycotoxins are capable of being genotoxic, cancer-causing, immunosuppressive, tremorogenic, okay? Teratogenic, embryonic malfunctions, neurotoxic nerve poisons, nephrotoxic kidney poisons, hepatotoxic liver poisons, hemotoxic bloodstream poisons, cardiotoxic heart poisons, lymphotoxic the lymph system, and dermatotoxic skin poisons. Folks, look, we are a nation that's sick. We are running from doctor to doctor to doctor, God bless them, without resolve. We got another doctor lined up. Well, they say I need a mental health doctor to see me. Well, they say I need to be on antidepressants. Well, they say I need stomach surgery, or my hip is old, it needs replacing. Folks, did you see this slide? Look at it one more time. You're only going to see it on Know the Cause, right? They can cause cancer. They suppress your immune system. They can cause the tremors. They poison your nervous system and your kidney and your liver and your heart. Now you may look at disease differently. I don't want you to turn your doctor into a knowledgeable mycologist that studies fungus. Here's the goal of this show. I want you to know the cause. Many of us suffer from these. Few of these are diagnosed. I'll be right back.
I hate when I hear people use the tired old excuse, I'm just getting old. Because at the end of the day, your age has nothing to do with your health. The whole concept of getting old is pretty much all in our minds. Of course, physical changes are going to happen, but the speed at which they happen and how they affect your quality of life are entirely up to you. Aging younger is absolutely possible. It's part of what I do for both myself and my patients every day. The first and most important step in this program is getting your diet in order, because wrong food choices create inflammation right down to the cellular level, leading directly to wrinkling, sagging, and premature aging. And that's just what a poor diet is doing to your outsides. Sugar causes collagen to stiffen, leading to wrinkles, high blood pressure, and much, much more. Collagen and elastin are the proteins that keep skin firm and supple and line our blood vessels. But with the right diet and nutrients, you may be able to rebuild that collagen and smooth out those lines and help your ticker too. Stay tuned. I'm Dr. Fred Pescatore at Know the Cause.
Hey, a special thanks to Annie Brandt. This is a great book. Do pick up a copy of The Healing Platform. And now you know, folks, diabetes and these fungal poisons that can cause these diseases. Most importantly, you know from Lindsay how to cook chicken chimney somethings, okay? God bless you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.